You're listening to The Real Fan Review with Hav, Sanj, Al, and B.
What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Hav here, one of your hosts from The Real Fan Review. Today with me, we got our boy Sanj back. Hey!
In the words of Michael Jordan, I'm back.
Awesome, man. We got my brother B here today.
Salve.
Wait, what language was that?
It's Italian.
Wait, okay. I thought Italian. I thought it was buongiorno.
It's salve.
Okay, all right. I learned something.
Yeah, you see, you listen to podcasts, you learn something new every time. We got our man in the chair.
I'm educating in these streets.
We got our man in the chair, Al, also with us.
How's it going, everybody?
Yes, and today we're talking Spider-Verse Part 2, New Mutants trailer, Project Power for Netflix, killing it. Talking Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and talking about all of our franchises that we love, where they left us, where we see them going. Let's get right into the podcast. First things first, we'll start off with the bad news so we can go right on to the good stuff. Bad news, right out the gate, Falcon and the Winter Soldier is put on hold for another month, possibly.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Looks like they didn't finish up.
You're sitting at home with nothing to do, can't go nowhere, right? You can't before, all right, you couldn't even travel. You couldn't travel to other countries. Great. Now there's only 3 states you can travel to in America, right? And then Falcon and Winter Soldier is gonna be pushed back. Really?
Yeah,
This is what
I was looking forward to that one, man. I was really waiting for August 1st for it to come out.
Waiting for August.
Yeah, not even August. They're saying maybe September, October. So we'll see what's happening. They didn't finish up in time before the pandemic hit. So, of course, they're going to be held back a little bit. So we're stuck with Marvel, just our old movies.
But I'm interested to see what they didn't finish, because usually at this point, even before COVID, they're in that post-production phase of things. So I'm wondering what isn't finished about it that they couldn't kind of release it episodic every week, kind of a thing, where we couldn't have episode 1 come out in August,
Right.
And then kind of every week or every week and a half or 2 weeks, whatever it may be, they come out with a new episode, So I wonder what isn't finished about it.
I hear you, man. And I mean, Al, were you just as brokenhearted?
Yeah, disappointed. But everything seems to be turning into a disappointment when you talk about movies and shows. I
was like, life is just a disappointment.
2020 is sad.
This weekend I was rewatching movies from 20 years ago because there's nothing new to watch anymore. Yeah. So
You know what's crazy? Somebody said that that 2020 proves that time travel is real, because what happens is that somebody keeps time and trying to fix it, and every time they do something, it keeps messing another thing up.
That's you, Barry Allen. You're watching
Flash.
Barry Allen.
He keeps going backwards in time.
yeah. But I don't know how true the reason is, because I have a colleague and her husband is in the industry, and he's still waiting to be told he can go back. So if it's a situation like they're saying where it's production and they haven't, maybe it's reshoots and stuff, and if the people that are building the sets and the scenes and so forth can't go back to work, then that means nobody can.
Well, I mean, so much of the movie industry is in California, and look at what California's. They can't open right now. They're not in a situation where they're anywhere close.
Yeah, especially California. Oh, forget it. Yeah. So,
absolutely, man.
Yeah, man.
It's just sad, man, because again, it's something that we're looking forward to, something that we want right away, just to get something to see. You know what I mean? But that's all right. We're being held down by Netflix right now.
That's right, Netflix. Killing it right now.
Killing it right now. They are.
It.
I should have
talked about
Netflix stock when I had the chance, bro.
Listen,
back when they were
the old guard,
DVDs.
the old guard, Lovebirds, Extraction, and now on to the next one right here called Project Power, featuring Jamie Foxx. I sent you guys that trailer today. Wow, looks great. Looks
Visuals
crazy, looks
on that
interesting.
incredible. I think it's like they're taking the Matrix visuals to another level. That's what the trailer looks like.
I don't know. I mean, I saw that with the little. It looks like the pill and it brings out your inner strength or some kind of
It gives you a
power.
random power you
Yeah.
Yeah,
can't
no one knows what they
choose.
have until they take it, right?
Yeah.
And it just seems like an interesting concept. Looks like
It's a cool
James
concept.
looks like Jamie Foxx lost either his sister or his daughter, and he's trying to get them back. I don't know, man. The trailer is just incredible, man. Brandon, what do you think about that trailer?
I think it's crazy. I'm loving right now these whole like last minute trailer kind of a thing. Like, hey, here's a trailer for a movie coming out in like the next 2 weeks. Can't wait to watch it, right? It's like, what? Where you been? I think my favorite was like, for the last one we just watched with Kevin Bacon. It's like, hey, check out this trailer for this movie coming out in 3 minutes. Like, I was like, I really love it. And, watching that trailer was awesome. I dig the concept. I think it's a new take on this expanding superhero kind of movie concept that we have going on in the last decade. It's everyone's trying to jump on the wagon in some way because superheroes is taken off. It's a capital gain right now.
Right,
So I
right.
think to have this kind of take where you have some like a show on Amazon called The Boys, which shows the other side of being a superhero. What if they're crummy people, kind of a thing. Now you have this movie, which is what if you can get superpowers by taking a pill. And I think that's such a cool concept that I was in the trailer the second it showed it.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I don't know if Sandra or Al, if you've seen this movie called Limitless with Brett. I forgot his name now. He's
Bradley.
Bradley
Bradley
Cooper.
Cooper,
Cooper.
right? Robert Rocket Raccoon there. He did the Limitless movie, and I actually love that movie. So it kind of brought me back to
Yeah.
like Limitless a little bit, and I'm like, wow, this is interesting. And then you see the different powers people have. You see our Robin from the Dark Knight series is in the movie. I mean, it just looks
Joseph
incredible.
Gordon-Levitt. Yep.
Yeah, JGL. So I don't
Yeah.
know, man. It looks like Netflix is got another one on their hands, and because of what Netflix has done this year so far, I'm actually looking forward to it. Like I'm looking forward to any other movie that's supposed to come out. I mean, that just looks nuts, man. I don't know,
Yeah.
just crazy.
And
Now,
with more and more, I was just gonna say, yeah, and it's kind of lending to the conversations we've been having over the last couple of weeks. Is whereas what's movie experience is going to be like in the future if this continues, because some of the stories out there is theaters may not open until 2021, maybe mid 2021. So more movies may need to come straight to streaming, or more of these originals may take off and become more of what people are running to, as opposed to waiting to see what movie might or might not come out in theaters.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
well,
yeah,
one of the things they were saying, like with the Charlize Theron movie
The Old
that
Guard.
just
The Old Guard.
the Old Guard that just came out on Netflix.
Yeah,
They're already saying it's like one of the most watched movies of all time,
yeah,
right? Just being on Netflix for a few weeks, and it's just like it didn't exist like 5 weeks ago. You know what I mean? And so that goes back, like I was saying, to a lot of the conversations we've had in the past about, well, what does movie watching look like in the future? And like everybody wants to get back to work, right? Everybody, there's money to be made. People, we can't hold up people for that long, right? So this is what's happening. They make the movie, put it out on the stream. It's clearly reaching more people much faster than in the regular movie theaters this way. So I mean, we're we're testing the paradigm, in real time here, and I think it's working out well from that
mhm,
perspective.
And
yeah. I mean,
something
I
too. Oh, you
go
go
for
ahead,
it,
Hal.
Brandon. No,
We've talked about this a lot in the past about trailers and how we wish there weren't so many TV spots and trailers and this and that. You have these movies, The Old Guard. I don't even recall seeing a trailer for it. Just the word of mouth on
Yeah,
it,
and it
and
was
it was
just
incredible.
there. As
And
of
it
one
was
day, it was
there,
just
and it's
there.
crazy. Imagine if Endgame said, "Your tickets are available 1 week. Here's the trailer." 1 week before the movie comes out, here's the trailer for Endgame. How hype would you be before you knew of anything else, before you saw any of those TV spots? I feel like this is showing a new way, and I know they're not
the
going to do
market.
this, but a new
Yeah,
way to market your product and make it so much more exciting. Because if I see
Well,
the whole movie before, I mean, with Endgame, I know they only showed like 15 minutes of the movie. I was very happy with that. But like, most of those movies now you
only
see
15 minutes.
you only saw 15 minutes of the trail of the movie in the trailer, which is crazy to think about. But
yeah,
like, if you think about it like this, like a lot of the movies we've seen, you've seen the whole movie and all the TV spots and all the trailers before you've even seen it. And you go
yeah.
into it excited, but you've seen the best parts, the biggest scares. What if all of that was a surprise to you or came a week before the movie came out? How
I
hyped would you be?
I agree with you completely. I would rather have like even just one trailer to say, "Hey, this movie's happening and this is a movie that's about to happen," and then that's it. But I
Yeah,
feel like an event like Endgame, like that build up was part of it too, like that
yeah.
Yeah.
expectation and whatnot. As a matter of fact, I think I told you guys like I started rewatching um from that whole the whole Infinity War saga from the beginning. And I
Right.
just gotta say, Captain America: The First Avenger was a great movie just by itself.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah, man. It really is, man. It's a really
Mhm.
good period piece, man. Really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But you guys are killing it with the segues, man, because you guys are talking about straight to video. Which leads to my next one. Something's going on with New Mutants, man. I'm telling you right now, I'm willing to put $50 on it.
I'll
They
take that. I'll take that action.
It's coming
they
out
put
next
out a
Tuesday.
I don't even know what was it, but I'll take the action.
you take action on it. All right. They put out a new trailer this week, maybe about like 1 minute long trailer. Very good, interesting. Just reinforced that I wanted to see this movie, right? And then at the end of it goes, see our panel at Comic Con next week. And I'm like, wait a minute. Are they
Yeah.
gonna hook us up? They're gonna put it out there, Disney Plus it? I don't know,
Yeah.
guys. What you think, man? What's the reason for the commercial and the Comic Con thing?
I
I
I
don't.
think so.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think I agree. I think it's gonna go on Disney Plus. It's just this movie's been out for 4 years. Different directors, this and that. The actors were 4 years younger when this movie was shot. So with the delay and this and that, you haven't heard so much about it going on this summer, other than the delay got going into July. We're in July now. Nothing. I think it's time that they're saying we got to put it on the table where everything's being successful right now, if we
Yeah.
want this movie to be the most successful.
yeah.
Yeah, man. Alabama, what's you, man?
Now, I was just gonna say I kind of agree with you because from what I understand, not only are they gonna be at Comic Con, but they were a late add to Comic Con, and they're getting a slot on Thursday. So it kind of almost makes it sound like,
Movie
all right,
Friday.
yep, movies streaming on your TV tomorrow. Like so, yeah, I think that's
That
gonna
would be
be a.
amazing. Oh,
I think that's what they're setting up. Yeah.
Sanj looking forward to getting that, losing that $50.
You know what? If we finally get this movie, I'll just chalk it up to the game. Like I'll charge it to the game. But like because it wouldn't make sense for them to start hyping it if they weren't gonna put it out. It would be one thing if we had a date that we say, okay, theaters are absolutely 110% gonna be open on this date, and they know they could open that could be the one that they come back to theaters
Exactly.
with. But we don't have anything like that, and they're starting to hype it. So like, what would be the point of them hyping it with an uncertainty of when they're gonna, put it out?
Exactly. To say like, okay, maybe October, November, and then push it to 2021. That's just
especially
ridiculous.
Or at the
So,
same
especially
time, they
yeah.
could be like, "Hey, we've been keeping them back for 4 years. Let's keep this moving." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this could be
I
one of
think,
those things. Like,
yeah,
Especially to
no,
have
I
a
think,
panel of people at Comic Con who like haven't been in touch with each other in 4 years. Like I
yeah,
think it's gonna be weird for them unless there's some kind of announcement.
Yeah.
absolutely, man. I just think that for however long this movie's been made, and they've been pushing off the release date, and it's not connected to anything. It's just its own separate movie. Why keep doing this? They didn't even make the movie Disney. They're just trying to make money off of it, right? This is all
Mm.
Fox beforehand, before the sale to Disney. So I think they're just going to release it. Honestly, I just really do believe they're going to either release it next Friday or probably maybe the week after. So got my fingers
Mhm.
crossed.
Yeah.
oh, I thought you were giving us the
Go.
finger at first. I'm like, you put that up. Like, what do we do, bro? Like,
I got
why
to
are you
cross
giving
it
us the
better.
He was like,
finger?
yeah. Does anyone think that
Oh
this is
man,
gonna happen to Mulan?
Yo,
no man,
Yeah.
no way. Mulan's gonna
No.
make too
Well,
much money. Make
yeah,
way too much money.
that's
But
next
is
week,
it?
right?
Supposedly next week.
Yeah.
No,
Supposedly.
everything's done. Everything's done right now. Everything's done
Yeah. No.
until at
I
least
think even tennis
August
might be
sometime.
getting pushed back till next year.
Yeah, it's just nuts right now, man.
So
Yeah.
Absolutely nuts. Because
I
nothing's for sure right now. Because New Jersey just closed down the theaters. California's about to close it down for a long time. Um, I just can't see them releasing movies so that only some people can get it in the States, and then other people just gonna have to wait till their pandemic's over. That's not even gonna make sense. What I could see happening, which is gonna suck, is you ever see those trailers or like know when a movie comes out over here, we see it first, and then the other countries get it like a month later. We're gonna be the other country.
Yeah, we're now the
Oh, oh
We've
no,
officially become the other country.
Yeah,
we're the other country.
I don't know. We acting like it. I don't know.
Oh man. All right, man. And then the last bit of news for this week before we get into the meat and potatoes of our podcast this week, we're going to talk Silk in Spider-Man 2. Brandon, this is all you. I have no idea who this Silk is.
Sure.
Who is Silk?
So Silk is an interesting character. So they tried to pave the way
the
for this
finest
character.
fabrics.
So Silk is her name is Cindy Moon, and so she's of Asian influence. She's from Asian background. So the story with Cindy Moon is that the same spider who bit Peter Parker also bit her that day, but she went through
That spider got around.
it got around a lot apparently. And like so apparently she like started developing her powers like in front of her family kind of a thing. So she actually got organic webbing and such, like what Peter originally didn't get. So someone came in and like locked her up and like had to like locked her away with other spider people that apparently got bit by spiders. Kind of like if anyone keeps up with the newest cartoons for Spider-Man, there's like a whole spider fleet of people who Doc Ock tests like different like species of spiders and kind of gives them the same thing that one spider had, just to see what happens to people. And so kind of a story similar to that happens to her when something happens where Peter kind of like shares a spider sense with her, and he goes to find her, breaks into the facility that she's being held up in, breaks her out, and they kind of become like a partner, kind of a trio for a little bit. Not a trio, sorry, because there's not three of them. But because of her spider sense, like she has like a really strong spider sense because they had the same spider, so she was like attracted to him. So she ends up like leaving because she is attracted to him, kind of a thing, because just of her spider sense, but also to find like a specific bad guy that's related to her series in a sense. So she leaves, comes back and teams up with him every now and then, but then she starts to get her own little series in which she's trying to find, I think it's called like the Morlins or something like that. This villain species that, took her hostage and this and that. So she's one of the spider people that's directly in Spider-Man's universe.
All right, so I mean, since you know so much about this character, because you just said a bunch of shit, kid. You're looking forward to this Silk in the Spider-Verse there?
I think it'd be cool. I think what they're trying to do is like a female-centric Spider-Verse 2, which I think would be really awesome as a space to put, we have Spider-Gwen. I think we had Penny Parker already. Having her Silk in there, Cindy Moon, and then also maybe having Spider-Woman. I think that'd be a really cool movie there. But I don't. If it's gonna go back to being like the Miles Morales Spider-Verse movie, I just don't want it to be too convoluted with the many Spider-Man, unless Nick Cage's Spider-Man goes away. But I feel like her character is very similar to Spider-Gwen.
Listen, man, if I could get it my way, the only thing I want in Spider-Verse 2 is Tobey Maguire. Also want what's the guy, the skateboarder?
Andrew Garfield.
I want all those Spider-Mans in that Spider-Verse there. That's what I want, man. And Sanj, how about you, man? You know anything about this Silk, or just looking for a good movie there?
Well, I know tons about Silk now. Thanks. No, it's more Spider-Man movies. I'm with it. I love Spider-Man.
I hear you, man. Al, you know anything about Silk, or?
Not
I
until,
seen the pictures of her, like the costume. The costume looks cool. It's like a half hoodie, half ninja mask kind of thing.
Ooh.
Yeah, same thing. I knew nothing about her until like when you sent out that she was announced as being in the next Spider-Verse movie. I looked her up on Wikipedia just to see what she was about, but had never heard of her before that.
All right, man. Cool, man. And listen, that's going to be the news of the week for us this week, man. And as you can hear, man, there's a couple of things going on that looks really good. The Netflix movie Project Power with Jamie Foxx.
I mean, speaking of Netflix movies, you guys, if you get a chance, there's a Will Ferrell movie out there called Eurovision Song Contest.
I watched it.
The story of Fire Saga. Incredible. I loved it.
Really?
Awesome
It was
movie.
really funny.
You know, the
It,
wife is a big fan of Will Ferrell, so we have it on the list to watch. So we definitely gotta make that
because
happen.
you have Rachel McAdams in the movie as well.
Uh,
It was fun. It was so funny. Oh my god, it was so funny.
It's like it's a hit or miss for people. Like you have to go into it knowing it's a Will Ferrell movie. Like it's a Will Ferrell. Like
okay.
that's it. It's his movie. Like just be open to all the shit that's gonna happen here. It's
Gotcha.
Talladega Nights in Icelandic.
Yeah,
Like
you know what? That's exactly what I thought when I was watching. I'm like, this is like Talladega Nights, like except
you just have to
All
be
right.
open to what it's gonna be.
All right. Listen, man, you guys might make it happen, man. We'll do a review of
Yeah.
Eurovision
song
what
Eurovision Song Contest: The
song
Story of
contest.
Fire Saga.
Jesus Christ. That's like Birds of Prey, the Emancipation of one, Harley Quinn,
Yeah,
her
exactly.
dad, and all this stuff.
Except this movie was good.
Excellent. All right, guys. So listen, let's get
Who can
into it.
resist that Rachel McAdams? Who can resist?
Oh, there you go. There
They
you
gave her a
go.
big old mole.
I think she just has a mold. Like that's
She has one mole, but they gave her like one big one over here.
Okay, right.
You guys got to put spoiler alerts on that, man.
Spoiler alert.
There you go.
She got moles.
All right, so let's get right into this, man. This episode, this podcast is going to be about our major franchises. We're talking the Fast and Furious, Star Wars, Star Trek, Transformers, Matrix, Marvel, DC, all our big franchises that make us love going to the movies and what they've been up to. We're going to try to do something where we talk about where they left us and where we think they're going, because some of these, franchises have movies coming out and what we're waiting for with these movies. So let's get right into it. Sanj, you haven't been here in a little bit, so let's get you first right out here to give us
All
your opinion.
right.
Sanj, you said Star Trek's coming out with some either new movies or new shows. I know that one with Picard was a hit. You got Deep Space Nine or Deep Space Six?
No. Deep Space Nine was one of the older series that was actually in my opinion, as much as I love the Next Generation, Deep Space Nine I thought was the best series.
All right.
As far as stories and how they presented it. But yeah, Star Trek is actually seeing a renaissance on the small screen with CBS All Access. So I mean, they came out with Star Trek Discovery, which is supposed to be coming into season 3 fairly shortly.
All right.
And they just wrapped up the first season of Picard, which was a huge hit with all the fans. And then, so that's 2 series that they have. They have an animated series called The Lower Decks, which explores.
Sounds crazy.
Yeah. It's supposed to be like more more comedic, and it's the Lower Decks, saying like it's junior officers or generally like people on the starship that you don't usually see, like the people doing the lower jobs or the more menial jobs on the starship.
Right.
You have that. There is a series called based around Section 31 that's in production, and there is also due to fan overwhelming fan demand, a series based around Captain Pike, which was played by Anson Mount, because they were in season 2 of Star Trek Discovery, and he did such an awesome job playing Captain Christopher Pike that the fans were like, we need a series with just there. So this is the captain of the Enterprise before Kirk. Right, and Spock is there, and you have number 1, the first officer who's played by a female, which was back in the day having a female first officer was a huge deal. But so they're carrying it, so they're planning a series around that. I don't know the name of it exactly.
Now, Sanj, let me ask you real quick, because that his number 1 is played by Rebecca Romaine.
Yes.
So to bring somebody like that and have her as a throwaway character, because even though she was important in the series, was that not planned all along? Because to bring her in to be his number 1, and that wasn't like a segue to another. I always thought that's what they were doing.
No, it was not a planned segue to another series. Like it was just
okay.
It was just like Jason Isaacs was in season 1 for the first half of season 1, and then he was done. Right, so it was supposed to be a one-off. Like they have that season, they're an integral part of the story, and then they exit. But they did such an amazing job telling that story, and like people just gravitated towards their characters that people just want more of their story, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, wow.
And then yeah, so those are all the series that Star Trek has planned. And there's also some exciting movie news around Star Trek where the producer of Star Trek 2, which is widely regarded as the best Star Trek movie,
Right.
in the pantheon of the Star Trek 2 is also pitching a new Star Trek movie. So, the fact that all that's going on, Star Trek is just in an incredible place right now.
All right. Well, Sanj, I got a question for you because I know the Picard show on CBS All Access was like a super hit. It left off with a I think you guys said somebody was like floating in space. Was it Data?
No, no, actually, so Data at the end so when the Picard movies ended with Star Trek Nemesis, Data died per
Oh,
se,
okay.
right? So they've kind of retconned the story a little bit where now Data is an android, right? He always was an android, but never in the story did he have an actual flesh and blood brother. So
Right.
now apparently he has a flesh and blood brother that figured out how to recreate his entire database, like basically recreate him, his whole neural
Right.
network and all his memories from one artificial neuron, right? So basically, Data's been alive this whole time. The story is that Data's been alive, but in a computer simulation. And at the end of
All right.
Trek Picard, the one so they spoiler alert, they save Picard because Picard actually dies, and
Gotcha.
they
That's
save
what
him by
happened. All right.
yeah by mapping his whole neural net and placing his neural net into an artificial body that basically resembles a human, like it's almost indiscernible from a human. And while they were preparing the body, they put his consciousness into the same simulation as Data, and him and Data have a final conversation that a lot of Star Trek fans feel that was the type of closure that we wanted for Data. And Data's thing, since he was an android, was that he's basically immortal. But Data asks when Picard is leaving, and when he realizes that it's time for him to go be put in his body or whatever, Data just asks him to do him one favor, to let him die. And
Mhm.
so the season ends with a very touching scene where Data dies finally. And
Right.
the actor Brent Spiner that plays Data, his stipulation for coming back, and because he actually plays Data, he plays Data's brother, so he plays a lot of characters, right? Brent Spiner actually plays a lot of characters. His one stipulation for coming back and playing these characters was that they would not undo Data's death, so that Data has to die. Like that was his
Right.
stipulation, which a lot of fans were hoping that they would actually bring Data um back to life, but his thing was like, no, let Data die. And then they gave it such a wonderful treatment, the way Data actually gets to die.
I hear you, man. And there's any plans for Picard season 2 for that?
Yeah, Picard season 2 is already in the works. The season 2 was
Okay.
announced way before season 1 even ended, and Whoopi Goldberg is going to reprise her role as Guinan. There's actually, if you go on YouTube, there's actually a great video of Patrick Stewart going on The View and asking her to do it. Like on The View, she had no idea he was going to ask her to do it, so it was really great. So she's going to come back. There's even talks of Michael Dorn coming back as Worf for season 2, because apparently he's the
Okay.
captain of the Enterprise right now.
All right.
Which
Okay.
yeah. So yeah,
All right.
there's so much exciting stuff going on in Star Trek right now.
Yeah, I hear you, man. You sound excited. So for all the Star Trek fans out there, you got a lot of stuff coming towards you, man. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
gonna be awesome for you guys. And Al, man, one of your biggest movies, one of your favorite movies is The Matrix. We got Matrix 4 coming out, man.
Yeah.
Talk to us, man. Where did The Matrix leave us? Where are we going? And what are you waiting for? What are you expecting, Al?
But it left us off with the peace that was made between the machines and the humans, and Neo apparently dead. But at the end, the little girl's character, she asked what was
The
her
Oracle.
name? The Oracle. Will we ever
Right.
see Neo again? And her response was, yeah, I think we will. So it left the door open, obviously, for something else to happen. But what that next thing is going to be, I have no idea. And I honestly don't want to know until the movie comes out. Like, I
One
want to
week
go
trailer.
into, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Oh,
One
I
week
want to
trailer, there it
walk in.
is.
I want to walk in there and not know where they're taking this so that hopefully I can be just as surprised as I was when we went to that first one. Because I had
Gotcha.
no idea what the first one was like, or what it was going to be about, nothing. I had no idea. So hopefully I could walk away from this one the way I walked away from that one. And they can restore the franchise because the third one really left it in a bad state, in my opinion, in terms of where it could have gone and what it could have done. But
Yeah,
in terms of
definitely.
its overall story, I mean, it opened up the doors to how many movies since then, and we're talking about a movie that came out, what, 99?
Hmm.
Um, how many movies still get compared to it? And you're talking about 21
Right.
years later. If a movie has a good sci-fi scene or effect or whatever, they call it they compare it to a Matrix level effect. So
Right.
hopefully they can bring back that reputation and satisfaction in terms of what the fans will have when they see the movie.
Absolutely, man. I mean, do you guys know anything about like there were rumors that they were going to go prequel on this Matrix, but because I see that they're using Keanu Reeves again, they're also using
K
oh
Moss.
my God, yeah, they're using Moss
Carrie Ann Moss.
again,
Carry on. Sorry,
Carrie
sorry,
Ann
Carrie Ann
Carry on.
Moss.
Moss,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah. And I
You know,
thought they were
Trinity's
bringing
coming
in
back.
somebody else to be Morpheus, but it was a younger actor. It wasn't going to
It was
be
supposed to be
Lawrence
Michael B.
Fishburne.
Jordan in the movie,
Yeah.
but I haven't heard anything like that. And they already started filming, so I'm not sure if they're doing a prequel or if they're just continuing the story from wherever they are. I mean,
That's
it's
Just a
going to be
glitch in the
nowadays.
interesting either
matrix.
way.
Successful
It's a glitch
movie.
in the Matrix.
Use Michael B. Jordan or use T'Challa for
Chadwick
like
Boseman.
just throw yeah Chadwick Boseman, just throw him in a movie. That's if you want people to come watch, like just yeah.
Mm.
Absolutely, man. So I mean, it needs to say, you're looking forward to the Matrix 4."
Yeah. But
Yeah,
to that point, since you made that comment, that's my one hope for the story is that it's not a prequel.
I got you, man.
Yeah.
All right, that's with the Matrix there. Brandon, man, you know, one of the big things for all of us is Marvel. You know,
Ah,
we just came off an Endgame, and you heard that Winter Soldier and Falcon and the Winter Soldier is going to be pushed back a little bit. So, you know, just give us a little brush up, man, where we ended off with Marvel, where we're going with Marvel, and what's your thoughts on what's happening out there with Phase 4?
I mean, where we ended with Endgame, going into Spider-Man, Far From Home. Like so with Endgame, you have Captain America gone, you have Iron Man gone, Black Widow gone. So like we have our main heroes. They're kind of starting over. Having a new stories for Thor and the Guardians. So with Spider-Man, we saw the end credits with him getting exposed, his secrets out, and then they're heading to space. Nick Fury, to supposedly start what I believe is Sword. So I'm interested to see what happened. I know this the lineup we have for this phase. Is it phase 4, phase 5?
Phase 4.
Phase 4. The lineup we have for phase 4 are usually the unknowns kind of. We have the Shang-Chi. We have Black Widow coming out soon, hopefully, fingers crossed, which I'm excited about because recently she's talked about how she's kind of handing over the baton to Florence Pugh, who's Yelena in the Black Widow movie. So I'm interested to see if we may have a Black Widow going forward. Um,
Gotcha.
for a next, Avengers group. Um, Shang-Chi, I'm really excited because it finally brings the Mandarin into fold, who I've wanted to see
Hmm.
since Iron Man 3. And I'm excited to see where we go from there. I mean, I don't believe we have a title for the Black Panther 2 movie. I think they just said Black Panther 2 for now.
Yeah, so far, right. Still
I'm
writing the
hope
script at the moment.
I'm
Yeah.
hoping, we go that Two Kings route that what's been rumored to
Oh,
happen. So we have Namor
yes.
coming in finally, because I think that'd be great. The first mutant. I'm interested to see how we may integrate mutants into Phase 4, possibly Phase 5, with the next round of movies coming out. And yeah, maybe space.
All right. Well, Sanj, I mean, when we looked at Phase 4, we see all these movies, and it looks like they could go either direction, whether they can go into space or they stay land based or Earth based, if you want to call it that. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I feel a little underwhelmed for what their plan for Phase 4 is. But I guess it's more because we don't really know what's happening. But it seems like Phase 4 is just a lot of Disney Plus TV shows and maybe like two, three movies, or maybe even four movies there, but nothing like a major Civil War or Avengers movie type.
I feel
So
like we're back
I
to
don't
the
know.
build. You know,
Yeah, build up.
we built up to give it all to Endgame, and now we're all saying, where do we go from here? Time to build. So I think that's what Phase 4 is going to do again. Start building on this story. Where are we going to go next? Who might be this big bad going into, 3 phases from now? How do we develop that story and kind of keep it ominous like they did with Thanos, or maybe even expose it more?
Right.
And how do we build on it? So I think this is the building phase again.
All right. Sanj, man, any thoughts on Marvel?
I'd like to see. I'd really like to see it get away from Earth. Feel like they've
Yeah.
done that, a lot, and how much destruction can happen, on one planet before it's like, okay, enough. But honestly, if I like where B's going with it, with the build up again, like start back like from scratch and build us to a new thing. And I would love to see them give Galactus the kind of treatment that they gave Thanos, and do a big build up to like Galactus, because we were severely underwhelmed
Yeah.
by the Galactus of Fantastic Four.
Fox.
Right. So like that would be, I mean, Galactus is such a great character to use, and that would be such a great build up, and give them the real treatment and show us Galactus the way we want to see Galactus.
Yeah, and you know what, Al, man, they were talking about this build-up there, and one of the rumors going around is there's going to be a build-up to a bad guy Avengers, whether it be the Dark
Okay.
Avengers or Ross's team. I forgot what they call Ross's team.
I'm blanking
I can't think of
out.
their name. The Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts, yes.
The Thunderbolts. So there's rumors about them creating this whole bad guy team to fight the good guys all of a sudden. So a reverse way of doing the Avengers there. What about you? You have any thoughts about that?
It'll definitely be interesting. It'll extend out the storylines, and with the way Marvel handles their movies, their characters, and the build up, I'm confident they can do it well. They've given me no reason to think that they can't. Because to Sanjay's effect, when Sanjay sent out that text about the first Avenger, I also went back to watch it again during the last couple of days, and I have to
I
agree
just
with him.
watched it just now.
Yeah, kid. So, and there's so many details in there, and that was a movie how many years ago, and
Right.
the details were still playing out in movies now. So if they want to do that again and like lay a foundation for a bad team or whatever direction they want to go in terms of setting up new
Right.
characters, I'm on board.
I hear you, man.
I'm calling
Yeah.
Thunderbolts at the end of Black Widow. I'm calling it.
Oh, okay.
All right. Mark
Because
it down.
See what
the
All right.
Taskmaster is a part of the Thunderbolts.
Okay. Thunderbolts,
Okay.
you can get a Red Hulk, Brandon. Red Hulk's coming soon.
I don't know if they're gonna go Hulk route, but I think they're gonna start building the team from there. I mean, we have the toss outs for Oscorp, as of the last couple of movies. So Norman Osborn was the Iron Patriot at one point, when he tried to kind of become a superhero himself. So I think, if he takes over as the Iron Patriot, and then you have the Taskmaster, you have the foundations for Thunderbolts.
All right. Cool, man.
Well,
So that's all. We're looking forward to Marvel, of course. All these franchises we're going to be looking forward to. So it's going to be
yeah.
a good movie thing when we get these movies back finally. So, Sanj, man, get next one, man. Transformers. We Jesus, Transformers. Last night.
That's what I called it when I went to sleep to the movie. Good night.
Transformers 5 wasn't so great, but they came back with the Bumblebee one. The Bumblebee movie was actually pretty good, a good story, good action, but nothing too crazy. And they ended off with the whole Optimus Prime driving next to Bumblebee there, or allegedly for Optimus Prime. We don't know yet. Sans, Transformers, what's your thoughts on where it's been, where it's going? And I think we sent you the trailer for the Transformers on Netflix again.
Yes.
Netflix killing it. Buy stock.
Just kidding.
Well, Transformers. What can I say about Transformers, right?
So
Once
much.
there's so much to say, and there's so little to say at the same time, right? Because
Yeah.
for me, Transformers was never about the quality of the story, right? Transformers was always for me about the character, Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, all these other characters that we have, not Rodimus. Um, I would honestly in Transformers, I would like to see Ultra Magnus make an appearance and in a big way. Because other than Optimus, he's like my favorite character. I just don't know why, but I just love Ultra Magnus. Like he's a big truck. Like he carries other cars, whatever. But for
He's
me, a
swap color
Transform.
Optimus.
Right, exactly. Swap color Optimus. So for Transformers to be successful for me, you have to have great action scenes, um, great special effects, and the voice of Peter Cullen doing Optimus Prime. Once you have those three things, the story
Yeah.
to me is irrelevant because none of it makes any sense anyway, right? So I don't care one way or the other. I just want to see Optimus Prime on the screen, and I would love to see them bring Ultra Magnus in and have him play a prominent role in the next story.
Absolutely, man. And Brandon, man, if you saw the trailer for the Netflix Transformers, I think it's called The War of Cybertron. It's going to be a trilogy. The first one coming out July 30th called Siege. I mean, it looks crazy, but it's animated, but it's something that I also want to know more about. Cybertron, Brandon. What's your thoughts on the trailer there?
I mean, yeah, I always say this about a lot of things like Transformers, that I think the best way to see movies like these or these kind of stories is animated, because they can do so much in terms of what you can't get out of a live movie. The actions, the way action scenes are shot, things like that. So for another kind of movie-ish cartoon to hit Netflix and Transformers, I think it's going to be great. You're going to learn a lot about Cybertron. You're going to get this whole tired Optimus. We've heard the tired line a lot lately, but you get to see the spoils of war in a sense, and see how this war has affected Cybertron, how it's affected the Transformers
Yeah.
themselves. And I think that's a cool point of view. We've seen it a couple of times, but I don't think really at this kind of magnitude. Like, we've heard about the story, we've seen flashbacks, or we spent a couple of
Right.
episodes in a series dedicated to the war on Cybertron, but then we kind of move forward to what's on Earth. And now we have something that's dedicated to what's happening there. I think that's a cool little spin.
Yeah, man, definitely. And I'm sure we're going to all watch those Transformer things when they come out on Netflix, because Netflix, again, is killing it. So,
Right.
So wait,
absolutely.
dare we say, hail Netflix?
We're about to. We're about to say on
Yeah.
Netflix. Let me tell you something. If this Power Project, the Project Power with Jamie Foxx ends up being good, it's going to be the year of Netflix, man. Telling you. Oh, man, for you, man, one of your favorite franchises and one of your best movies there also is Star Wars, Al. We just finished off this 9 movie saga there. Star Wars, oh my God, I forgot the name of the Star Wars.
Exactly.
Rise of
Yeah,
Skywalker.
right. Yeah, that's why I forgot it. That's exactly why I forgot it.
Yeah,
So we
man.
just finished off this saga. They're still working on a bunch of stuff. I mean, we have The Mandalorian, which has
Yeah.
been really good, and season 2's coming out in October. Al, what you thought about the past and where we're going now?
Um, there's a
Hard
rumor.
side.
I didn't start off
Yeah.
good, Al.
Hard
No,
side.
because I don't know how to say. There's a rumor. There's a rumor going around that they're looking to reset the last three movies. That they're going to use a scene, not reset it, but that they're going to
Basically
make
erase
the
it.
yeah, like its own universe. So what they're doing is there's a scene, I forget what it's called, but there's a scene in Rebels where there was a space in the Force that allowed you to go to any time and dimension that you wanted to. So supposedly they were going to use this aspect of the Force, and they're going to reset so that they can go back in time. I don't know how they're going to do it, whether they go back in time or go to another dimension, but it's going to make it so that those movies did exist and occur, but in their own separate dimension.
They're basically
And
taking a page out of the Star Trek book where
yeah,
like the
yeah, because it's kind of like the new Star Trek.
yeah,
Yeah.
like that's an alternate timeline and an
So
alternate
that's a
universe that happened
so
in.
that's a rumor I've been hearing. I'm kind of on board with it because I really don't like what they did with the last three. They were good movies in their own right, but in terms of a storyline, I didn't like the story they told in the sense of how it continued the story of the prequels and the original trilogy. So if they can somehow come up with a way, I mean, I'm gonna go watch them regardless. So
Of
whether
course,
people
yeah.
like it or not, yeah, Star Wars fans are gonna go watch it. Other than that,
That gets a buy tickets. It sucks.
yeah, exactly. Although we'll see because the
Until proven
Russos,
otherwise.
yeah, because the Russo brothers are on record saying they want to do a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
So if
Isn't
they
Taika
can
supposed
do,
to do the next one, right? Taika Waititi's supposed to
yeah,
do the next one?
yeah. So
Yeah.
if they can, I don't know if he's going to do this, but yeah, he's doing a Star Wars movie. So if
Yeah.
they can get these kind of directors, writers on board and say, okay, if they could, I have positive feelings for what they can do with the future of the stories. Granted, it's not going to be the Skywalker storyline, but it doesn't have to be, and Mandalorian has proved that. You know, the Mandalorian has
Yeah.
shown us that we can have a good story of a character in the Star Wars universe, and it doesn't have to involve a Skywalker.
Once you have Baby
Yeah.
Yoda,
So I'm excited to see where they take it, especially with the level of talent that they're bringing to direct and guide the movies.
Mhm.
If they can use that same ability to bring in good talent to be on the screen as well, I'm
Yeah.
excited for what they can do with the stories. I mean, there's so much that they can tap into for stories that they'll have plenty of options and possibilities for years to
Yeah,
come.
man. With all
So,
the games like they came out with all the different books that are out there, my honest
yeah.
hope is that they do something like The Mandalorian, where they have these separate stories. And to be honest, not to kind of steal the Marvel's way of doing things, but I want them to do their own separate stories in the Star Wars universe that leads up to a big Star Wars event. That's what I want for the future.
Hmm.
But I gotta see if I can speak to the right people to make that happen because I think that's a fantastic idea. But yeah, man, for Star Wars for myself, I'm a big fan. I love seeing those movies, but I did feel kind of let down with the last two of the Star Wars movies there. Yeah, it just not what I was looking forward to. With that first one when they came back, which was the one oh shoot, Star Wars.
Force
I'm so bad
Awakens.
with the names. That Force Awakens was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other two weren't so much, and I just want them to get back to making these spectacular movies, and maybe need to take a step away from those Star Wars films right now, but make something in the meantime that's in that world that takes advantage of that, the myth of the Star Wars,
Hmm.
not the Skywalkers, but
Yeah. Yeah. They could do a Knights of the Old
people who have
Republic
the powers of
storyline.
the Force. Yeah, exactly. You can
Yeah.
talk into the stories about how the Sith were created, or all these different things they can do. Again, Mandalorian showed that you can do these things on the side and not be this big ensemble movie that doesn't work. You know what I mean? So that's
Mm.
my thoughts on the Star Wars there. Now, Brandon, I'm going to come to you with family, son. Family. Brandon, it breaks my heart to know that we missed out on Fast and Furious 9 this year. It was supposed to come out in April, and of course, due to the pandemic and theaters closing down, it got pushed to 2021 of April, so a whole year away. Brandon, we left off Fast and Furious 8, waiting for Fast and Furious 9. What's your thoughts on the past and where we're going?
I mean, listen, we started off with guys souping up cars and doing races to hopping on and off submarines and blowing up. At the level of ridiculousness that this has developed,
Nudging torpedoes.
like the level of ridiculousness.
I
But
mean, the Rock beat up a helicopter.
he beat up a helicopter. I think like it's one of those movies when after you saw the second one you saw how like ridiculous it can get, and you're just kind of like, all right, like as long as I don't take it seriously, I'm still gonna enjoy it. So like I don't go into them thinking it's gonna be like this beautiful art piece. Like I'm going to thinking what ridiculousness is gonna happen in this movie. What are they gonna do? And then from the trailer, they got a grappling hook launched into their front bender, like and whipped them around an island. Like so it's gonna be ridiculous. I'm upset that we're not gonna get to see it this year. I'm just waiting for at what point Optimus Prime comes down and takes him to Cybertron. Like Toretto Prime, let's go.
Toretto Prime.
You guys are going to will that shit to existence, man. I'm telling you.
No, I'm
The
telling
all
you,
spark of family.
Look, Luda let it slip. That they're
Yeah.
gonna end up in space. He let it slip.
I don't even know
They're
if he
trying to
let
make
it.
it happen.
I don't even know if he let it slip, but it was just like, y'all, you know it's gonna happen at some point.
I mean, what else can they do? Like, like,
Dude, they go into space. They need to just end it right there. That's the last one. No more. They're done.
because
That's it.
after going to space, then it has to be time travel. You know what I'm
Charlize
saying? Like,
Theron is sitting on Mars waiting for you, Dominic Toretto.
he's like, if he
Oh,
drive if he drives fast enough and slingshots around a mountain at just the right angle, he's in time travel.
If he hits
You know what I'm
88
saying?
miles per hour.
Hey,
88
Sanj,
miles.
Sanj, they're gonna drift the spaceship.
They're gonna drift the space.
They're gonna bring it back to Tokyo, bro.
But
So
I think another
crazy.
thing that's like my favorite part of the Fast and Furious movies is that no character goes unwasted. Everyone gets brought back. At
Yes.
some point,
Yes.
everyone gets brought back. You know, like I think my favorite
You know
was
what? It's sustainable because they
yeah,
recycle.
right. Like in this movie, Charlize Theron is back, and then this villain is now we have Dominic Toretto's estranged brother. You know, it's just
John
like
Cena.
John Cena is a strange brother. So like, like we're bringing all these people. You just never saw him. He was always there. You just couldn't see him. And then it's like, but yeah, I think my favorite was I think it was the 6 or 7 when they brought back the guy from the first movie that was messing with Brian because he was with Mia and all that stuff. Like they brought
Yeah,
him
yeah.
back. And even though he was a sucker, like it was cool to see him come back. Like they always bring everybody back. So
They're
I
bringing
think
back
that's a cool
Han.
thing. There it is. They bring it back
They're gonna have
Han.
to
Like
explain that one, man. They're gonna. I can't believe they
How
put that
many
in the
different
trailer.
angles did we see him die, get shot? Like,
they did
Bro,
it.
I mean,
They
look, when
changed the way he
they
died.
brought back Letty. You know, they did some clever special effects so that Brian's character didn't have to die. You know, like whatever.
I'm waiting for them to bring him back too. I'm waiting.
They actually were in talks with his brother.
I fucking knew it.
They were in talk with his brother to see if he could do something in the movie.
You know,
They didn't say
I
that.
hope they improve the special effects.
uh-oh.
So that's that cheesy smile all movie like.
Oh man. And then last but not least, Sanj, we missed your brother, so you're gonna get this last one also, man.
All right.
The DCEU, Sanj. It's kind of like disappeared, reappeared. We got the Snyder Cut coming out. We got Wonder Woman 84, Shazam 2, Shazam. And the last movie that came out for them, I believe, was Shazam or no, Birds of Prey, which was
Birds
like
of
you
Prey.
guys said was okay. You know what I mean? Like I think we all liked it. It just didn't surpass like. It was just like, oh, it was okay, you know? So, DCEU has been a little bit all over the place, Sanj. What's your thoughts on where it's going?
I think
And
the flat. Sorry. I think the Flashpoint movie that they have planned, where they have all these different characters coming in to play Batman. You know, basically, you got they're in talks with Michael Keaton. They're in talks with Christian Bale. They're in talks with everybody. You know, so I think the Flashpoint movie is what I'm really looking forward to see what they do with it, so that because that can kind of be a jumping off point because to bring that Flashpoint together, so it's bringing together multiple and everything, so they can basically go anywhere from there. So if there was a way, like a genius way to reset the DC universe and take it in a direction that everybody can get on board with, it's that point. Like, to
Mhm.
say, well, all right, yeah, we'll bring Christian Bale back. Like, give him $200 million. Nobody's gonna say no to $200 million to play Batman, right? So give him like that much money to play Batman and just go the direction that they were supposed to, like that everybody wanted it to go. You did this Superman movie with Henry Cavill, which made sense, and it looked just like it was in the universe of the Batman movies with Christopher Nolan's Batman movies, and like they should have merged those two together and jumped off from there because they did
right,
everything with like bringing Wonder Woman in and everything was in that kind of universe except they didn't add the Christian Bale Batman, mostly because he said no. But and they obviously because of that they had to go another direction. But
they
if
threw a lot of money at that man.
they threw a lot of money at that
They
man.
threw
Uh,
200 million at him.
but I think if they up that money, I still think there's a deal to be made there for him to do that. But I mean, look, even if that's not what they do, the Flashpoint movie I think can be a great point for them to really jump off from and reset it and put something really good together.
Absolutely.
I look forward to it with optimism.
Hmm. Yeah, man. Al, how about yourself, man? Because I know one of the things that the rumor out there is that either Superman signed this deal where he's going to be showing up in a couple movies, or he's going to end up playing Superman in a part two there. What's your thoughts with everything going on with DCEU?
I agree with Sanj. Like this movie for Flash is going to give them a couple of options because if they are in
Mm,
talks of bringing in Michael Keaton, not only for this movie but maybe another one, this movie is going to give them the option of doing that.
right,
If Affleck is also supposedly being brought on, from what I
Affleck.
understand, he's being in talks to come back, kind of like what they're talking about with Cavill, where it's going to be spot moments in other movies.
hmm,
This allows for that. So there's a lot of the rumors that we're hearing that this one movie can give them. They
gotcha,
can do a lot of changes, whatever changes they feel they need to do to the DCEU to bring it back in line so that people will give it respect and credibility again, they can do with this movie. They can have it
absolutely,
end with whichever Batman they feel the public is going to want, whether that's let's just stay with Pattinson's Batman. Let's stay, let's bring back Affleck, even though we said he was
right,
gone, or let's, somehow bring in older uh, Batman and Michael Keaton, and somehow have them in the same universe or in different storylines, so that it makes sense as to why there's these different Batmans.
right,
Um, it's I don't think they'll be on the storylines can be on the level of what Marvel did with their arc, but it at least gives them a couple of avenues to take where you can seriously say, okay, it makes sense with the overall story as to why now all these possibilities are playing out because of Flashpoint.
yeah,
So if there, it was kind of smart for them to use the Flashpoint storyline as Flash's first movie instead of it being an origin movie.
I hear you. And Brandon, man, is the last thing on this is that one of the things that's going on right now with the Snyder Cut is some people are confused by whether it's just going to be just this, oh, this is what it was supposed to be kind of thing, or if it's going to be possibly, if it's successful, if it's done right and it's well made, that it could be one of those, like I was just saying, one of those different lines of a timeline that Flash creates, and they have their own other thing here with the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
What's your take on the Snyder Cut, Brandon? You think that it's going to be lead to its own thing, or is this is just a one-off? Like, hey, you guys been asking for it. This is it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
I feel like the Snyder Cut, the fact that it's even happening is a pull by DC to make anything happen. You know,
Mm,
happen profit wise, with the Snyder Cut to see, okay, this movie did great. Let's release what was going to happen. Let's bring Zack Snyder back on board. Let's see how much we can pay these guys. Let's make sure part two or part three happens. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see where we go from there. I
right.
think the problem that comes with what DC has laid down as a foundation is that you now have this Flashpoint movie, which could make a new timeline. You have the Snyder Cut, which if successful, I don't see why you wouldn't want to continue it. So now you have all these different layers of movies and different timelines and such, where you get away. And I know this is, I guess, maybe like a tease by Marvel in a sense, but you now have stories that don't align. It's not an overarching story, or maybe it is at some point if they could make that happen. But you now have stories in different times, in different dimension, this and that, where you're just kind of making characters for the sake of having stories. And I always said before, I think DC should go this route where they're just making stories, because I think it's been not too long, but it's too big of a gap now for them to start over. So I think
Yeah.
they should just keep going along the line of making stories. Like, if the Snyder Cut goes great, perfect. Make part two, part three, end it, great. You want to do a Man of Steel 2? Awesome, do Man of Steel 2. But it doesn't have to lead to another set of Justice League, this and that, because we're building all these movies together. I think we're too far
Yeah.
ahead right now to make that happen, and you're looking at another decade of movies if they want to do it the right way in a sense, because we all agreed that they rushed everything to make Justice League happen, and it was
Right, they
clunky, and
definitely did.
it didn't make sense. So you're looking at what could be almost half a decade or maybe even a decade to make a storyline come out of all of this, make it to fruition. So I believe at this point DC should just be making stories.
Yeah, man, absolutely, man. Well said, man. And listen, that's gonna be the podcast for tonight. But before we go, guys, if you're watching on YouTube there, what's your favorite franchise out of all those franchises we talked about? Because those are the big ones for us. Those are the ones that make us go to the theaters when they come out on that Thursday night, 7 o'clock showing there on IMAX. You know what I mean? So we're looking forward to a lot of those movies that are coming out. But what's your favorite franchise, and which ones are you looking forward to the most? Let us know in the comments below. Or if you're listening to us on podcast there, email us at therealfanreview@gmail.com or go to our website, therealfanreview.com. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about all those movies that are coming out or where those franchises are headed. So anyway, man, listen, Sanj, it's great to see you, brother. I know you've been busy. Good to have you back.
Glad to be back, brothers.
Yeah, man. And listen, I thank you guys as always for all the stuff that you bring to the podcast. You bring it every time we talk, and I appreciate you guys, man. So listen, man, coming out of New York, we're gonna see you guys on the next podcast. I'm saying good night from here in Long Island, New York. Brandon,
Ciao.
Sanj,
Peace and love, everybody.
and Al.
Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, man, we'll catch you on the next one. Have a good night.